Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Welcome to Screamplay, a show about spooky video games. With your hosts, Tom and John Ryman. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And welcome to another episode of Screamplay, the show about spooky video games. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I am
What's up?
your other co-host, John Ryman. I screamed over you.
Oh, you did? Well, that's because you're a scumbag.
No, it's because of Screenplay. You have to scream.
And we have a guest today, our first ever guest on this goofy little thing that's apparently a show.
I'm so excited.
Drew Grant. Say hello, Drew.
Am I the seventh guest?
You
No.
can be.
You know, I mean, like, is this the seventh show?
No? I
It's not the
mean,
seventh show.
you're the first guest, which, does that make you Bronson Pinchot?
I think that makes me Pajama Houdini.
Pajama Houdini? Oh, that guy's awesome.
We could be doing the seventh house guest, and you could be Sinbad.
Oh my god, nice. Nice. Love
Solid
that.
pull. Solid pull.
And honestly, if Sinbad showed up in this game, I wouldn't have blinked.
I think that was Pajama Houdini. That is who's going to be playing him in the remake.
I'll pre-order
you.
it now.
So we're kind of circling around it. Drew, you brought today's game that we're going to talk about. So why don't you tell us what it is, even though they read it in the title, but I don't care. You're going to hear about it again. And yeah, and a little bit about the game and how you came to find it. Why don't you tell us a scary story?
Ooh, well, old man Staff built a house and filled it with his toys. Actually, no, that whole rhyme. No, this is the 1993's The Seventh Guest. It is, to date, one of the only video games I've ever completed in my entire life.
That's incredible to me, and I can't wait to talk about that. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's something I played with my father, like when it came out. I remember like very vividly certain aspects of this. My dad was a big gamer. He was a big nerd. He loved Doom. He loved all these games. We played a lot of other spookums like Sanitarium and Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Sweet.
Both of those are fantastic horror games, by the way. And then we played this game, and I remember being so scared and so bored at the same time that when the opportunity arose to go through this with y'all, I was like, this is the one. This is the one
Yes,
I choose.
it must be.
We must talk about this.
Sweet.
Will I go into the plot here? I can.
Yeah, we can.
Oh
Just
yeah,
a
I
quick-
mean, like we're sitting here, we're in a dining room. We're all dressed like flappers. There's a sliced cake in front of us, and we're promised
some fucked up
wishes.
slices of cake.
We're
about to
promised
do some-
wishes if we catch this pink boy running around. But we have
Tiny
some time.
pink boy.
We have some time while we're solving this ponderous puzzle.
Oh my god,
Drew.
it's Pink Boy.
Go ahead and regale us with that scary story.
Okay, so there is this guy. He's a drifter. Guys, you know how, you love him. It's a drifter with a
I've
with
drifted
a Jewish,
from time to time.
Yeah, it's a drifter with a Jewish last name, Strauss. It's only gonna be
Stroff, I thought, right?
Stroff, right.
Stroff.
Still, that's a Germanic Hebrew name, let's say. Only relevant because of one of the puzzles later, but we'll get to that. He is a drifter who has a dream
Right.
of a doll, and this dream is not going to be relevant throughout the game. It has nothing to do with anything, but he becomes a doll maker, and somehow that makes him incredibly wealthy in, I guess, land baron times.
It
like
seems
a
to be like
Rockefeller.
real Black Forest shit. Yeah, like some real Bavarian Grimm's fairy tale landowner.
It's in the 20s and 30s, I think.
Yeah,
That opening story though is like a Grimm's fairy tale where he's like galloping through the woods like the fucking murderer from the beginning of Great Expectations. Just skulking through the dark. Sorry, Drew.
No. So this guy makes dolls because he had a bad dream about them. I guess he was a murderer first. He was a drifter and a murderer, and
he murders this lady, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so when he murders
He's
a lady,
real Renaissance man.
Yeah, that's right. So, murderer, lady killer, also makes dolls.
He's a real polymath.
Polymath. He's a man of the people. So he starts making dolls. Wouldn't let him around kids. I mean, this guy is he's like F. Murray Abraham in a cravat. He's
really. I think I texted you. He looks like F. Murray Abraham on the side of a rice box. Like he looks like a brand mascot.
He looks like F. Murray Abraham on one of those like postal workers FBI's most wanted.
He and his Bob from Twin Peaks. He actually looks like my boyfriend was watching it with me as I was playing through, and he goes, "It's ya boy," and I immediately went F. Murray Abraham because I knew that's who we were both thinking of, but I don't know why that would make him my boy. But yeah, so F. Murray Abraham kills a woman, takes the doll, learns how to make dolls, gives them to kids. The kids get sick, but somehow he still has a really successful business doing this. This is still the prologue, guys. Then he builds a really big house. And then at some point afterwards, I think, in the 20s and 30s, 6 people are invited to a dinner party, and they are the 6 people you would meet at a dinner party, like if you were doing one of those costume dinner parties.
How to host a murder mystery. Yeah,
you're doing murder
I was
mystery.
thinking that the whole time.
That is literally at the top of my notes.
Mm-hmm. It's literally the millionaire and his wife, Pajama Houdini. There is a Jessica Rabbit. She's just Jessica Rabbit. And then there's Bronson Pinchot. And they all come to this house. They're not really given any instructions, kind of like this entire game. They're not told what they're going to get. They just heard this guy has this big house. They came there for dinner under like Clue-like auspices, I guess. They all want something. Most of them don't really have clear desires or like trajectories or narratives that I could figure out. They just were like there. I guess they're all supposed to be bad. There's an old lady there too. I think that's it.
It seems like Eleanor and Temple were okay.
Yeah, the magician and the stuffy waspy wife were trying to help the pink boy.
Help the kids.
Yes. So
trying to help Flesh Boy.
Yeah. The smooth pink lad running away from stealth.
Like a marzipan log.
So you are a middle-aged man. You can know this because you have an inner monologue throughout the entire game that doesn't really fill in the narrative blanks as much as sometimes give you little hints for the puzzles, because that's the entire game here. We're just going to go from room to room and solve an increasingly frustrating amount of the same puzzle. Like a rook chess
There's
game.
There's 3 puzzles, and they make you do them 3 dozen times.
Who said it earlier? It was like a Cracker Barrel. It's like the game at Cracker Barrel. It's exactly that game at Cracker Barrel.
The sword game, yeah. The sword game at the
very end. Yeah, I was talking to Drew about that. It's just the golf tee game from Cracker Barrel,
which is a difficult puzzle.
Yeah, I would say these are the hardest games I've ever played.
Yes, hands down. Totally agree. I guess we'll save that for the Boneyard.
Yeah.
That was great. That was spine tingling. So yeah, I guess we should now that we've had that, we should cut our insanely shaped pieces of cake that all look like melted Lego bricks, and just start wandering aimlessly through this spooky ass mansion. I'm assuming Vincent Price is around here somewhere.
Yeah, don't make any sudden moves in front of him, Drew. He might bite, but that's just because he's not used to you yet.
Yeah, you gotta let him get acclimated.
He probably smelled my F. Murray Abraham on me.
He does, yeah.
He's more like arches back and hiss.
He's fighting with Stoff, I imagine. Yeah, you can't. Stoff is not Vincent Price in this game, so it's like having 2 cats in the same room. They're gonna fight.
If I had a metal band,
Big
I'd call
Lots Vincent Price.
Okay,
sure, but that's still a gradient of Vincent Price.
He's like Alibaba Vincent Price.
He's Spirit Halloween's Vincent Price. Let's just leave it at that. I was gonna say, if I had a heavy metal band based on this
Prince
game,
Vice, whatever they call it. Prince and Vice.
Prince and Vice. Scary man.
Yo, That's so Scary Man's also really good. Damn, those are both really good contenders for what the Spirit Halloween version of a Vincent Price is.
All right, it's I gotta do the thing. And then we can start. So let's wander around and get lost in Spookaboo Manor. Now I invite you to step inside Spookaboo Manor.
Spooky.
I was gonna say, if I had a heavy metal band based on the Seventh Guest, it would be called Stoff Infection.
There it is.
That's
you do have to play a version of the board game Infection in this game.
Yeah.
I thought it was Go.
It's like it's like Atari, but it's also called. It has like a zillion different names. Anyway, this is a part of the show where we talk about the spookiness of the game. Specifically, its mood, its vibes, how spook 'em ups it is, how spine shingling it is.
Any story points we bring up in here as well.
Yeah. So, Drew, you mentioned that this is a game you've been playing since you were a kid, or at least you remember it fondly as a kid.
Yeah, I haven't still been playing. I haven't been playing since I was a kid. To be clear, I finished this game as a child.
Yes, and I put it down and left it there in the past.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the spookums of this game? Did this game scare you badly, or a little bit, or what was?
As a kid, I remember having nightmares about the basement. Like, I vividly remember my night terrors about the basement level.
The basement is pretty intense.
I have night terrors about that microscope puzzle as well.
Oh god, that one drove me nuts. But I would say that no, this game is very much not scary. Like, I'm not even sure if they were. It's unclear if they were going for scary.
It seems
like argue like they weren't.
They were.
Been.
I did read an article on Games Radar on this, and the creator was like going for like old Hammer films like House on Haunted Hill.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
And like Clue and stuff like that, which is what they were trying. So they were going for like a little spookiness.
But it does feel like, I was going to say Hammer because it does feel more like drive-in spookiness, like kind of schlocky, cheesy spookiness. Yeah.
I know I messaged you about this, but it's worth bringing up on the podcast. Who is this game for? Like, who's the intended audience? Because there's part of this game where you straight up watch ghosts have sex, and then it's one of the only clickable things that are, like, continues and remains clickable.
Just hear their fuck screams.
Yeah, you hear their fuck screams. And then you watch the Jessica Rabbit character take a bath for, like...
Yeah.
For a really long time.
And not one boob. I was so pissed.
No, not a single boob.
Not
it's
a
not
single
even titillating.
boob.
It's sort of like the POV of the game itself, which is that you are both somehow a 30-year-old man and a boy, like, right? So this is it's like, who is this game for? Yeah, like ghosts on age.
Yeah, it feels like solid PG-13 territory.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know. That's a good question because, like, what was the audience for DOS games in 1993? Like,
I guess there's an easy answer, which is my
one
father.
Of the first.
Everybody's dad, I think, is who this game was for.
And I would say that as well as like people that, like have large puzzles like sitting out in their living room that they work on for like a year. That's who this game is for. Because that's, I think, really kind of this is a game you pick at. You don't like play it in like long settings. It's just like you solve one puzzle, you're like, okay, that's good. I'm good for like the next week or so until I feel like coming back and putting another piece together. So I think, it's more just for like picking at, or like, I think one of the things that they also said, the creator also said in this article, was that he wanted it also to people to, like Drew, play with their families and, take turns playing it. Some people be like, oh, I know what this is. And then,
It's really funny to me that they're like, we see this as a family game.
Yeah, what the hell?
Really? Fuck Bones is a fan? Yeah. Okay, all right. Well.
The sex ghosts?
Yeah, we have sex ghosts and this like creepy weirdo chasing this pink kid around the... Okay, I mean, like, I guess that's what we're going to do.
Why do you keep calling him pink? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Because he's pink.
Because he shines with the pinkest glow. He's like the ghost of Christmas past.
He was wearing like pink?
He's a ruddy boy.
He's pretty ruddy, yeah. He's galloping through a 20s mansion.
He's dressed like the fanciest newsie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it is a newsie kid.
It might just be like the hue of the, like when I was, because I played it on Switch and he looked pink.
That's so fucking funny. I don't know why that's the funniest thing I can possibly imagine, but there you go. It's like he's a pink boy. He's also, you find out, our protagonist. You are, despite, again, having the inner monologue of a 30-year-old, you are a child. Stauf has trapped the souls of all those children he killed with his dolls.
The dolls made them sick, and then when they died, they transferred into the dolls.
Wait,
why, though? Why, though? Yeah, that's the plot.
I don't know. I guess his fucking magic. Or he made some kind of... I don't think they ever say it directly, right? But we come to figure out, as you solve each puzzle, you get a little bit more of the story via thrillingly cheesy cutscenes. Yeah. And we eventually learned that he made some sort of Faustian bargain, right?
Strauss.
That's where his inspiration and his power and such came from.
I'm still so confused though, because he's why is he so rich? He owns he makes dolls.
Because everybody loved his dolls, baby.
They killed half the people. They killed half the people.
Listen, the dolls were really cool.
I like also how the story opens with him murdering a woman. And then that fact just does not come back ever again.
It doesn't really seem to. I think the only thing it's there for is to let us know what kind of dude he is. Or maybe that's why he got the vision, right? He gets the vision from presumably Satan or some sort of lower demon.
That's
it's here, make this doll. Paimon.
It is Paimon. They do have a lot of serpent imagery. People turn into serpents a lot in this. The woman just Rabbit.
They melt the carpet.
The timeline of this story... Yeah, the timeline of the story is wonky because you get these cut screens, but you can only play certain rooms in a certain order, like the mini games. But yeah, for some reason, they still don't really tell a narrative, sequentially. So, I definitely watched the Houdini guy die twice. He melts into the floor.
I thought I saw him, die 5 times. I had so much trouble, following the story in this. Because it, jumps around a lot, and you can solve puzzles... you don't have to solve them in a sequential order necessarily. So I felt like I was jumping around a lot. So I thought the magician died 8 times or something like that.
I think I saw him. Here's my thoughts on that is, as you pointed out, you can do, there's 3 basically sections of the game where they gatekeep certain puzzles until you've solved a certain set of them. But in general, you can do those sets of puzzles in any order you want to, and of course that also means you will get the cutscenes revealed to you in any order. So,
interesting.
I think they sort of designed the cutscenes with that in mind. So while they're still kind of preserving the vibe, and you still sort of get each character's general sort of thing by seeing the cutscenes. But it made me think about that board game Mysterium, where you have to be a ghost trying to communicate. Have you ever played that, Drew?
Oh, I've heard about that. I've heard about it. I've never played it.
It's a game basically where one player is a ghost trying to communicate to the rest of the players who are playing psychics how they died and who killed them, but you can only do it with this really esoteric deck of cards, and you can't control which cards you have in your hand.
And they're just pictures. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really
like
neat.
That.
Yes, but it made me think about a couple of movies have touched on this idea too, about what it is like to be a ghost, where you're kind of slipping in and out of time and things happen out of order and you're not really sure where you are. So that's
the movie
kind of
Ghost.
Exactly,
or the movie. That sounds cool.
The Others.
The Others kind of like that. It's also very reminiscent of another movie that I am a big fan of, but I'm going to hold off on talking about anymore. But I think that the weird thing is, if you're going to do that, and that's fine, I like that concept. I think that gameplay is actually a lot more conducive to that kind of storytelling than probably a lot of other mediums.
Really
probably
Pulp
more so
Fiction it up.
Yeah, but if you want to do a weird out of sync story, maybe a game is the best format, but don't kill your main characters then, because that kind of gives the game away. And if you are going to kill them, don't kill them multiple times, because now it's they just decided every time you see a character, they're going to have to die. And maybe that's part of a larger storytelling device that I just didn't get, or I don't think was done well, which is these ghosts are looping through eternal variations, right, of how they could have died.
Well, they
that's true. That's right. We do know they've been doing it over and over again.
Yeah, they kind of spell it out for you at the end. Oh, this has been happening over and over and over again. So I guess that makes a little bit more sense. But I think there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, there's absolutely a better way.
Which I think is what Drew's hitting on.
Yeah, because I was thinking not necessarily the deaths so much, but you do see a lot of the different guests get their wish. So it suggests that each one of them, or not each one of them, but several of them caught Tad at some point. Like Bronson Pinchot gets those coins and then he melts into the floor. And then like Heine, why is she named Heine, wishes to be young and turns into a baby.
She turns into a baby.
Turns into a little baby. And then freaking what's his nuts?
The magician
Pajama
finds
magician.
out that it's just like science and he's not really doing any kind of magic.
And was
And
that
he
what
gets
he
all
wanted?
mad.
Is that, is
Yeah,
that
he
what he
wanted.
wanted?
He said he wanted power. He's like,
But not this.
He wanted to do
science.
actual magic, is what he was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's pissed. That guy.
and then he melts on the floor.
He melts on the floor. That's the first
But he
of
also
several
gets
times.
strangled by Heine,
Yep. He also gets strangled. Heine
like
is the one.
with piano wire.
Is that the guy who has the game with the Nazi gold?
No,
That's Bronson Pinchot.
Heine is the she's a lady. She's the lady
Oh,
that
she's a
brings
lady,
him
yeah.
the pink boy at the end.
The white-haired lady.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the older lady. That's not the millionaire's wife.
So, just so we don't gloss over that real quick, there's that game with the swastika in it.
Sure is.
What
Yeah.
are we making of that, guys?
I
I
gasped.
didn't even think about it until now,
I
but you're 100% right.
gasped. And I almost texted you, Drew, but I didn't. And then, like an hour later, you texted me, and I
Are
was
you
like,
talking
"Right?
about the coin puzzle?
Yeah,
That
the
coin
coin.
puzzle?
Oh, Jesus.
One of them just looks like a swastika."
It is a swastika. And I imagine it's because
Am I
it's
on
like
a list now?
Oh man.
I think it's because it has to be a thing of sacred geometry, right? Like the Nazis didn't create the swastika; that already existed.
No. I think it relates to the puzzle, but at the same time, I'd be like, guys, maybe pick a different, because it's
Shape?
not the only shape
Yeah.
that can do this.
No, but it really
only
means
shape.
this, and this was done in like the 20s, like before Hitler started using it. I was like, no, guys,
Nope.
no.
Get
Get
outta here.
No.
Get
So
outta here.
Strauff infection is Hitler, is what we're learning. He's baby Hitler.
Yeah.
Teen Tiny Little Hitler.
So yeah, I mean, it seemed that was striking. I mean, I gasped.
Yes, I did. It was a jump scare. It was one of the game's genuine jump scares.
And
Was
maybe,
the
like-
reveal of that puzzle.
Maybe it would be different if it wasn't a game about like coins, gold coins that like this greedy man wants. Because I'd be like, well, at this point, it's just like weird propaganda. This is just like actual Hitler propaganda. Like this is something like your grandpa would keep in like his attic after like his time at World War II, and it's like, oh, that's fine. He won it from the Nazis. It's not actually.
liberated
What
it,
it from the
yeah.
Nazis.
Oh man.
But I do like parts of the. I really like the game. Obviously, never scared me, but I really dug the vibe of it, like the Hammer horror kind of schlock drive-in horror vibe of it. It's really operatic and over the top theatrical, just like every FMV game was back then. But like, I was kind of really into the story and the mood and like the mythology of this weird little game.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it
could
was
not decipher it.
Yeah, I can't remember if this was an official sequel or if it was their unofficial sequel, but they had one called The 11th Hour.
That was official.
That was official.
that-
They had another one called The 13th Doll, which was unofficial.
Okay, was Tim Curry in either of those, or was he in a totally separate thing during
He's
the
in
same...
Gabriel Knight and also Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
And the Frankenstein
I
one,
remember
right? There was a Frankenstein
There was a
one.
Maybe?
Not by these people, just like a different one. I just remember Tim Curry was very like involved with
Tim
the
Curry
scene.
was in a lot of these.
Yeah.
He
Jumped
was in
on
more
that
than
wagon
one.
early. He's like, you're going to pay
Yeah.
me how much to do how long? Okay.
Yeah, to do what? To do what now? Just stand in front of the... Like, he's doing his
Sit
full
at my
condo.
home and record my lines here. Mark Hamill too was really big on this bandwagon in the
Yeah.
early '90s.
More power to them.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I would say this is probably the best. I was saying this is really where I missed my calling in life. I should have been doing this for a living.
I
Like
don't
if I was
know,
around in '93, I would have been so good at this.
Drew, I don't know if you could have, because according to this article, they assembled the finest cast from Oregon's thriving acting community.
From Oregon's Thriving.
That is a quote from this Games Radar article.
No.
Oregon's thriving acting community. I mean,
No,
they might
he's
have
not.
it if, like, you're from Oregon and listening. Sorry, we're
my
making
God.
jokes out of ignorance, but that is a pretty funny fucking quote.
Never apologize to Oregon. They know
Oh
what they
my-
did.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
That was incredible. Man, do we have any more thoughts about the spookiness or the boo-ness?
I did have one thing that was kind of creepy. If you played the picture puzzle where you have to flip all these tiles to make a coherent picture, it is a picture of the house, only it's been burned down. Which is like foreshadowing what's actually going on, which I did think was actually pretty cool. And if implemented in a way that wasn't in an area where I was already super duper frustrated, that'd have been really cool.
What was your guys' favorite puzzle of the whole thing?
Well, actually,
That'll
let's
be in our
let's
game
put a
section.
let's put a pin in that
Oh,
and
yeah.
move out. Let's mosey on outside.
Yeah,
We've kind of
Vincent's getting kind of aggressive now.
yeah,
His tail's
starting to mark his
fluffed out.
territory.
Yeah, his tail's fluffed out.
He smells Tad.
He does.
He does smell
smells
Tad.
He smells that pink boy.
He's the opposite. He does not like pink boys in his house.
Let's get on out the back door here, out of the spooky manor, and make our way down the steps and poke around in the boneyard. Perhaps now we should go traipsing through the boneyard.
Ooh, the boneyard.
Yeah, them bones.
Bones
Xylobones.
are the money. The bones are the money.
Bones are their money.
That is
So
the
are the worms.
currency of skeletons. It has been
Yeah.
confirmed.
And fear.
It is- Yep.
Yes.
This is where we talk about the gameplay. So yeah, favorite puzzle. That's an awesome question
Favorite
to start
puzzle.
this section off with.
Man. Someone needs.
What's
Tom, you need to go
what's yours?
first.
What's yours, Drew? So we can think for a second.
Okay.
I did
There's one
actually
that
like
I got.
a couple of these. I actually really did like several of these puzzles.
Me too. I just got frustrated by them. There was one that
Oh,
I
yeah.
solved super quick, and that's the other thing. They don't give you instructions for any of these games. So that's half the game for me is trying to figure out what the rules are.
Yes.
That was 90% of it.
Oh, it's
and then
finding
you'd
the
be
best walkthrough is like this. Like
Just
just
what
to,
the game is.
not to tell me the puzzles necessarily, but just to tell me what the because like the way they implement it is just like someone throwing a bucket of marbles at you and saying solve it. And I'm like, what am I solving? Who are you? Why are you in my
they're like-
house?
They're like, jump one, and you're like, jump one what?
Yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Drew. I didn't
Half of what?
yeah.
That is what this game is, though. 90% of it is just they're just giving you these cryptic clues. I guess that's why the Tad, the boy man narrator, exists, is to give you these clues where he's like, I'll have to take a leap of intuition, and you're just staring at a deck of cards. And you
Right.
go,
It's like, is there,
Okay.
I'm supposed to? Do you want me to jump over the cards?
I did like. Okay, go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry. You were saying your ones.
No, I was just saying, which is my filler noise.
Oh, well, I mean, I liked the card puzzles, honestly, and the coins. I thought those were easy enough to do, but they were fun. And what was the other one I liked? I liked the telescope one and the one on the bedspread with the words or the letters
telescope
where you have to
one.
Oh,
like
yeah, the
skip
word
3
games,
or
yeah.
5.
Was that a game?
Because those made sense to me. So I was like,
don't know how I won that one.
okay.
I won that one, and I just pressed buttons. And
Oh,
and
really?
I
then
think you can blunt force your way through some of
You
these.
can also use the book in the study to skip one, which is what I did with the microscope, because fuck that thing. It was
Wait,
stupid
what do you
and I
mean?
hated it.
Oh, if you go into the library, the first one of the first rooms on the first floor.
Yeah.
There's it's where the telescope is. There's a book on the table, and you can click on the book, and it gives you hints.
Or
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
that's how I
skip
found out that-
a puzzle completely.
how?
I don't know how I did it, but I
You
did
keep
it.
reading. You keep reading the book. It'll give you 2 different hints.
Oh, shit.
In one of them's real oblique. The second one's a little bit more specific. And then if you ask it a third time, it just solves the puzzle for you. But it won't show you the cutscene if you do that.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I don't
so-
think you can do it again.
So
Like
I
you can
found
only
out
do it once.
that made me remember what my favorite game was. It was definitely the cans. The cans.
Oh,
were my
yeah.
Man,
favorite.
the cans really threw me for. I figured it out, but it's like the second puzzle, and it's pretty fucking hard for
No,
the
it
second
is,
puzzle
but
of a
at
game.
least you know what you're trying to
Right,
do.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
not really, because I had to look up. It's like, what am I trying to do? Oh, make
there's,
words. Okay.
It's 30 Ys. You get a bunch of cans. You're supposed to put them in order in the form of you don't even know what it's like. 4 letters on top, then a 5-letter, a 4-letter, and then there's two.
A bunch of consonants, no vowels, and just a bunch of Y's.
Yep. And I looked at the book. That's when I didn't know it was a hint. I thought that was just like how you solved it. I looked at the book, and it gave me like a bunch of synonyms for that sentence it's supposed to be, and then I was able to figure it out. So that one's my favorite.
Cool. I liked the card and coins ones too. Because that scratches an itch in my brain. I liked the word games. I liked all the mazes. I liked the heart valve one where you had to like go through and click the valves to get the blood to flow through correctly.
Right. Yeah.
And even though doing the maze was kind of a nightmare because if you forget a turn or you forget where you are, you have to start all the way over, which means you have to go back in front of this great puzzle and do that again and then get into the maze.
Wait, how do you go back?
At least the great puzzle was easy.
You if you turn around or if you hit, there's a little clock, like a little stopwatch icon.
Is that what that does?
You click it, it resets the puzzle for you if you get stuck.
Oh, we could not figure out how to reset the puzzle, so we were like really worried we were going to be down in that maze room forever.
Oh no!
You can also hit spacebar.
Oh shit! Oh, okay. Yeah, because as a kid, I'll just tell you guys, that was what gave me nightmares. It was that horrible maze in the basement. It took me like, if I remember correctly, and this is a child's memory, like a little pink boy memory, but it took me 3 months. Me and my father, 3 months. Of like every single night playing this game to figure out that maze because I don't think we figured out how to get back to the beginning either. So we were just like down there. We didn't realize the map was the one that they gave you up top.
On the rug, yeah.
And even if we had like what we were like 1993, what were we going to do? Like do what Tom did and
do what I did. I wrote them down. I sat and I wrote down all the directions, all the turns.
I just kept going forward. And if I hit one, I would go back and then go to the next turn and see if that one would let me go forward. I don't know how I did it. It only took me like 5 minutes.
I'll be honest.
I don't know how you did it either. That's a hell of a maze.
That's incredible, especially because you can't turn around in this game. It doesn't let you like turn the way you came back. Like at least on the Switch.
I can't explain
not in any
it,
kind of way that makes sense.
I do have a good sense of direction, so I can kind of like visualize what's I've done behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, that makes a lot of sense because I have a terrible sense of direction.
So do I.
So bad.
I had one more. I actually liked the microscope puzzle.
I hated that.
You.
Fuck
because
you.
I knew the game.
Get out of here.
Get out of
bad
here,
game.
Tom.
Get out of my house.
You're bad.
I mean, we already said the word stuff, but I like the telescope one.
Yeah.
The telescope one is good. Yeah.
The telescope one was a lot of fun.
What was that one again?
That's the one where you just have to you start at one. It looks like a bunch of like moons, and they each have a letter on it, and you're supposed to form a sentence. And you start at one, and then each letter each like little planet you move to after that will have a couple of different direct paths you can follow, and you just sort of pick a path. It's sort of like a mix between a maze and a word jumble.
Yeah, you're just trying to make a word.
What I love.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured out some of these so intuitively that like I can't tell you how I did. Let me put it this way: I can't tell you how I did any of these given games, like what the rules were for any. I couldn't explain to you. I couldn't sit down. That's why the walkthroughs were like not going to help me any, because I don't think like watching someone else do it was going to let me know how to solve that face puzzle. Like in a million years, I can watch someone do it a million times.
I got so stuck on the face puzzle.
I played that with because the music in this game, by the way, is preposterous.
It also just cuts out.
It's like Nintendo crazy, Nintendo jazz. And it just does not fit a horror thing. It's like
it's very much the Twin Peaks, like Man from the Other Place thing, where it's like bum 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum. Yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of makes a little
Peaksy.
bit more sense, but I had to like turn it down. I was like, all right, I'll just put some old episodes of Top Gear on while I was like playing it, and it took me through 2-hour-long episodes of Top Gear to get through that goddamn puzzle.
Oh my god! Well, yeah, sometimes the music cuts out though, which is really fucking frustrating as well. Like you'll just be playing it and it just stops.
Oh yeah, it does that constantly.
You're like, oh okay, nothing. Okay,
and then all of a sudden, like the bongos come in, and it's just like. The Copacabana or whatever it is, like they're playing in the background. It just did not fit. It frustrated me so much, that music.
Oh god.
And when especially like when you're like on hour 1 or after hour 1 of a specific puzzle, and it's just that early 90s video game music. You're just like, I'm gonna throw this out the window.
So I guess
sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's where I sort of hit a wall, was the face painting, and I had to quit the game after that because my brain cannot do Rubik's cubes, and that's essentially what the face paint, the painting one is, the face puzzle. And I sat there, like I could show you the notes that I wrote out, like a real maniac.
Oh, wow.
Like I wrote out, like I got the face down to where I had one tile that needed to be changed. And I sat there and tried to write each possible combination I could do. And I sat there for quite a while writing that out. And let me tell you, there's like way too many for each possible, like, because I had to do, okay, if I turn this one, then what is that? It's like, it was like trying to figure out a password by going like 1111. Okay, that didn't work. 1112. Okay, that didn't work. 1113. You know.
What's funny, because I did that a lot in my childhood. I would like try to crack my dad's computer by literally sitting there and go 1112, 1113. And I did it on several occasions, enough so that he had to buy like a super lock for like his computer. So like I guess I just was the kind of tenacious child that you could not get me to sit down and shut up for anything. But if you like put something in front of me I wasn't supposed to touch, I would just go at it like a little hound dog.
Yeah, that one was probably one of the, except for that fucking microscope puzzle. Fuck
that
you,
microscope. Fuck you. That was the one you played AI. You play against a game that like is sentient, sort of. Like I mean, it was kind of impressive. Like
but if you move first, you lose. Like, I hate it.
Is that true?
No, shut up, Tom. You do. You lose. That's the end of it. But what was it? What were we talking about? The face one, the portrait one. That's because I knew it was like, all right, so I would click on it was just like trial and error. I'm like, all right, so if I can get all this area green, I can turn it into, the skin looking, picture.
Skin man. Skin stuff.
Yeah, skin stuff. Smooth skin stuff.
Pink boy stuff. He desires the flesh.
That's why he wants the pink boy.
That's why he wants the smooth pink boy. He wants his flesh to be smooth and pink. But so that one was hard, and the piano one can go straight to downtown hell as well.
Okay, I do want to sit in something I wanted to talk about, which is not necessarily a fault of this game, but like this is sort of like the genre. If you grew up or have played any of these games, like the early 90s or late 80s adventure games where they're these puzzle-based stuff like Monkey Island, Gabriel Knight, and the games you mentioned like Sanitarium and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Monkey Island's a great game, but it offends way more than this game on certain things.
It does, yeah. So like they live and die by their puzzles, right? That's the entire difficulty of this game. So you could go out and buy this was a hefty CD-ROM game. It came on multiple discs. I imagine it was probably full price. So you come home with this game, and if you could like just kind of solve the puzzles as quickly as like a crossword puzzle or like a like a Sudoku book, you'd feel pretty bad about that, and you'd get mad at them, and it wouldn't be a successful venture for them. So they made these puzzles really fucking hard and oblique.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It totally makes sense. They're supposed to be like worth their money.
The issue with like the piano, it's just Simon Says, and it's just because. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're about to elucidate it. Like, I know you're about to say, even on that simple puzzle where it's just like, okay, you just have to repeat the piano keys that they press. It's 18 rounds of it. I counted. That shit took 25 minutes to solve.
Yeah.
I feel like
knowing the solution, it took to clarify, it took like 25 minutes to enter the correct solution, not to like try and fail until you solve it.
Right. So you're just You're just doing Simon Says. It's also how I taught myself piano, though. So that one was more frustrating. Yeah. That's more frustrating because like I know the theme song of this game really well, and that's what it's doing for you. So it's also the Clarissa Explains. No, not Clarissa Explains stuff. Eureka's Castle. It's the Eureka's Castle theme song for the first like 5 notes. Where like Eureka's Castle. So I was like just doing that, and then like it loops back into a minor key and then goes down and up. That was more frustrating because I kept accidentally touching the wrong button and having to start over, and like that was endlessly frustrating. But
because it's 18 rounds of it.
It's fucking crazy, right? So that's just like a time waster one. That isn't like
that is just like mean.
That's
Yeah.
just
That's
like
just
we
me.
need something to flesh this thing out. Well, we can't just have Simon Says. That's stupid. Well, what if we made him do like 18 rounds of it, and you don't
like,
get
yeah,
to
Tad?
and you have to start from one again, like every single time.
I mean, that and the maze.
Play piano, Tad?
Yeah.
I mean, the maze and I'm thinking about it, the maze and the piano are time wasters. I mean, those are really
Yeah,
supposed
they
to
really are just designed to swallow your time, like, really cruelly.
Yeah, and I feel like when I think about the most like weirdly hard one that I think was like a surprisingly hard one, because the word games I get pretty easily, is the one that's basically like a lot of other games, like Coffin Flop, which was in the basement, and the Face Game, but also like they're all just basically puzzle games, and there's like a Rook game, and you just play those two versions of things back and forth. But the last word game, where these 3 blocks in 3 rows, so it's like a grid.
Oh,
and, and you're supposed to spell what? Get
Tad boy.
Get
boy Tad.
Get boy Tad. That is
Get-
not
Which
a
is
million
Not
euros.
put in this game if you look like Stealth.
I mean, what the fuck was that? I was trying every combination. I thought I had it. And it
I
turned
had
out
to
it was...
look.
Yeah.
I had to
look it
look
up.
in the walkthrough and see what I was supposed to spell, and then I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can spell that. And from that, it's but
You never heard the name Tad. That's never said in the game.
Oh, no, you do. I had, if you have this, if you play with the subtitles on, it's a lot easier to catch stuff. I don't know if you do or not.
No, I hadn't played it with the subtitles. I just
Oh,
didn't
you
know
should,
where-
His name
should.
was Tad. I just called
His
him
name
Pink
is Tad.
Boy the entire time.
I had been following the disjointed, sort of ethereal story well enough that I knew what it wanted me to say. Like, I knew it was, get Tad boy or get boy Tad. Like, I knew what it wanted me to write. I just couldn't solve the puzzle because it's basically a Rubik's Cube.
Well, if they
Luckily, that solution was actually on. There's no fucking solution online for the painting puzzle.
is there ways to solve? Are there multiple answers to each thing? I feel like there has to be for most of these.
For
there's
some
multiple.
of the puzzles, there definitely are. Like the spider one, where you have to draw the lines with the spiders. I know there's multiple ones to that because it's wherever you start.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And for the one that's the microscope game, but that one, does that actually involve AI? Like, how is that playing against me?
A very rudimentary AI, but yeah.
I'm not actually sure about that. I don't know if that one feels like there could be multiple solutions to it because all you have to do is fill up the board with your color.
But it's like playing against you.
I
Yeah.
tried. I went online and I tried to look. I was like, okay, so I started making the moves that these guys were making online, and then the computer was making a totally different move than it was against them. So it's like, I was just like, this.
It counter learns, which is weird. Like, you can trick it into you can bait it into going after one of your guys, which means that there's some sort of machine learning going on, which is crazy intense for a 1993 game.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now with AI.
Yeah, that puzzle was hell.
I do wonder now if it's just totally random where it moves.
No, you can
we
it.
had rudimentary AI in '93, like enemies in Mario would follow you and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one was specifically the way that you imagined computer war games to work in '93, where it's you move and then it chess piece moves,
Yeah, there were also a game like this its grid bases there were tons of chess games at this time that you could play against the computer.
Yeah.
So they probably did just
Kurt
have a version
Russell
of that in
killed
there.
one in the thing
He sure did.
with J&B whiskey.
Yeah, I feel like this is. I was just impressed by how good it was because I could probably predict. I could get to a place where I could predict its moves, but it could also predict mine very well. It was getting really good at predicting where I was going to go, and I was like, this is weird. It didn't know at first because it was learning from me, and then it figured it out, which was again from '93. It's a pretty impressive technology.
Oh, it saw
I
me
think
coming
overall-
a mile away.
Yeah.
It beat me in 2 moves, and I just get angry and smash things.
I mean, that game was that
Try
was so
again,
hard.
friend.
No.
I think this was overall pretty impressive for 1993 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell this blew people's little minds right out of the back of their heads when they saw this game. I remember when it came out and really, really wanting to play it, but we didn't have a computer that could run it, and then it came out I think on 3DO or something. It came out on a weird console.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my boyfriend brought up the good point. He's like, who's this game for, Drew? Anyone who can play it. He's like, if you had a computer that was capable of processing this game, then you probably were the kind of
Probably
nerd.
bought it, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably the kind of nerd that was in the intended audience. which like that tracks. Like it was for people who could figure out computers in 1993.
Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning it was for everyone's dad.
Yeah.
It's
Well, my dad also was like a big fan of like House on Haunted Hill and stuff like that. That's what me and my dad were into. So like that's specifically.
Oh shit!
tracks.
This is right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's even the floating skeleton from the end of the 13 Ghosts. Oh wait, is that Haunted Hill?
Both.
The
House
acid bath.
Yeah, that's from House on Haunted Hill.
That's Haunted Hill. That's right. Okay. That's what I was thinking of. And the floating skeleton in the end is like 100%. I even think they have a skeleton that floats up out of a chest in one of those movies.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you said, it's the William Castle, the Hammer horror. It's like it's just very it's just funny because you do get an Oregon theater troupe performing these ridiculous things while the visuals can be kind of spooky. There's a lot of effective spookums in this, I would say. They're kind of undercut by the performances.
For sure.
yeah.
For sure. I was still
Yeah.
vibing hard enough that I didn't mind. I was like, oh, great. Let these cheesy idiots in here again.
Now, if I had played
Say
this,
some lines.
if I had played this when I was 13, when it came out, I'll be like, yeah, this is like one of the gnarliest games I've ever played, bro. But like, I mean, like, you have to judge it by that standard. Like back in 1993, I mean, like this, I was looking up stuff online because I like to get kind of a background on these games when we talk about them. But I was checking it out online. This and Myst, the game Myst, actually like skyrocketed CD-ROM, helped to skyrocket CD-ROM sales because everybody wanted to play those games. So yeah, it's which I actually went
Myst's
through when you
pretty sweet.
suggested it. I got some of this confused with Myst and realized I had never played this game before. But
Have you played Myst?
oh
Like,
yeah,
that was,
it's a great game.
Oh, yeah.
But like I guarantee you, if I played it now, I'd probably have like the same kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of slow and frustrating at points, like you do with this game, just because like back then this was the shit. This was Final
that's all that
Fantasy
there was.
7 or 16 right now. Back in the day. So
I mean, it's funny, like, there was a bunch of games like this that came out during the time, and I do wonder if, like, some of this was just, like, plop your kids in front of it and, like hope the parents don't stay through the whole thing, because there was some, like, slightly inappropriate stuff. But there was an Are You Afraid of the Dark one that was very similar to this, also CD-ROM, also incredibly difficult, if I remember, like, not for the age group of the show.
Sweet.
But, like, yeah,
I'm going to try to find that.
Yeah, it was really good.
Drew, I read that they kickstarted a board game of this game. I don't know. I haven't tracked it down, but
You just have to do a bunch of breakout mini games. It's basically like, you just have to sit there and play
Stealth
cards.
would be
I'm trying to imagine what it is.
but Stealth would be a real big fan of sexy. How Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Jeez. I mean, like, this feels very much like, also like those, Halloween Horror Night kind of things where it's like, would this be a maze? Would this be a cooperative game? Like, I can't imagine
It'd be an
this
escape
being-
room.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, shit, you're right.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's right. And I hate those too.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I love them, but just like the movie, they're disappointing and confusing most of the
Which
time.
is kind of why I'm like glad that we did this one, because last week we did Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and these are kind of like the same kind of game, but they're like approaching it by accenting two different angles, I guess.
Is that by the Amnesia game? Is that by the guy who did Soma?
Yes,
Yes.
where they're
Cool.
focusing more on the
love
ambience and
Soma.
horror, whereas like the Seventh Guest is focusing more on the challenging puzzles. But they're kind of the same thing, a little bit, bare bones.
I'm not to do another podcast here. Soma has one of the craziest concepts I'd ever heard of until that point. Like, I don't think I'd ever seen that.
Love Soma. We
Done
can
anywhere
do
else.
it. We can have you back on to talk about
Soma
Soma.
cast.
Soma is chef's kiss.
Yeah, I love Soma. Do we have any more bones we want to dig up while Vincent's still screwing around in the house?
Gotta leave some for
No,
a suit, man. Gotta leave some for a
true.
suit.
It's true.
Have the actors done anything else? I do kind of want to find that out.
Man, I don't know. I didn't look any of them up.
steadfastly refuse to look up any of
Okay.
these people.
I didn't look any of them. I hope they're still working.
I
They're,
mean, yeah, I think
fine.
this was probably a lot of fun for them because you know they're just kind of community theater actors that were maybe friends of this guy or did some local tryouts, and this was probably a lot of fun for them to do not green screen, in this case it was blue screen, but
What?
yeah, they did blue screen on this. And they said it didn't work that well. That's why they have kind of this weird aura around them. They just
That's why the video doesn't look great.
Yeah, and they were just
man.
all right, well, let's just accentuate it and make them look like ghosts. That might
So
be
at one
why I
point-
think that boy is pink, because it's the blue screen.
So at one point, my very new smart HD we got this really expensive, nice, no big deal TV,
brag.
like this HD LG 4K, all the things.
Cooks for us and parks the car.
Yeah, it cooks for us.
We
parks
get
the car.
it, Drew. You bought a TV.
Well, that's to say, I've had it for a week, and this game shut it down. Like, the TV just shut down. At one point, the TV just shut down, and then it flickered back on with, incredibly worse light, because it was trying to, smart fix it.
Adjust to it? Yeah. Oh, no.
And it couldn't. It just, couldn't, so it, broke itself.
Oh.
I
You plugged it in, and the TV was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, the TV was, killed itself, in the spare time. It's just committed seppuku. It was awful. I don't
The
have any
bomb
more
disposal robot in The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's stop playing this Microsoft game, that microbe game. I don't have any more bones to pick with this one. My TV does, but
So that's a pretty big bone. All right, well, let's get it. Let's get the hell out of here.
Ugh.
And make our way towards that distant blue and yellow light off on the horizon. The last Blockbuster, which is located conveniently behind Vincent Price's house.
He bought it. It was haunted, so
Princeton-
he had it moved brick by brick, like the London Bridge.
Sir Prince and Vice, please.
Sir Prince
Prince and Vice. That's right, Sir Prince and Vice. So now we get into the section where this is where we rate it, right?
Yes, this is where
Okay.
we rate the game and decide whether or not we're going to toss this up on the shelf with our Saturday night sleepover spooktacular movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Our cabinet of
Spook 'em up
curiosities.
VHS collection.
Yeah, you're
And,
better
yeah,
at that
so,
than I am.
Yeah. So this is a little section we like to call whether or not we should buy the VHS. Is that what we call it? I
Yeah,
don't remember.
whether or not we buy the VHS, it's fine. We've done several of these.
You know how many podcasts I do?
Oh, that is true. But yeah, the first our first leg of this is rating the spookiness of the game, the scariness of the game, which is rated in 0 to 10 spookaboos or 1 to 10
spookaboos.
spookaboos. Who would like to go first?
Man, I'll
we-
jump on this grenade.
All right.
Go
Unless,
ahead.
unless Drew, you have an answer
No.
ready to go.
I was going to ask, is this from the POV of a tad child, or is this from an adult,
Oh,
who we
yeah.
are now?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
don't know. But okay, I've got
Yeah.
I've got a hot take. I've got a
Okay,
hot take.
okay.
I've got
Let's
a
hear
hot
it.
take. I'm gonna give this thing 5 spookaboos.
Okay, that's hot. That's insane.
5 spookaboos.
Right in the middle.
Because I am grooving on the vibe of this game. It's not
love it.
scary at all. I just love the cheesy drive-in horror movie schlock vibe, and they clearly did too. It's full of homages to that. They damn near play the Beetlejuice theme at one time.
Yes!
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, when
That's
the
what
birthday
this theme
cake comes
song
alive.
was. That's what the music in this was. It was Beetlejuice style music. It's just
It was
Yeah.
8-bit
I-
style Beetlejuice.
only
yeah.
more carnival.
Fucking calliope music.
Yeah.
I love this genre, this subgenre of horror. And this was pretty fun universe to exist in. So that's why I'm giving it a higher rating than it should have maybe just gotten for how scary it is. So yeah,
Oh, that's the hot take. It's
throwing down the gauntlet.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. So you're saying it's not Spookaboo scary, but it's almost like I maybe call this a Spookadrew in honor of me, because it has a very
Perfect.
Video Drew kind of vibe to it.
There
which is
you
like
go.
it's not
It really
scary, but it's like it's got like a weird girl vibe to it. Like this is something like a
So the video Drew 5. It's not scary, but I feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's a little too try hard to be scary. It's definitely try hard. But it's also it's pretty fun and it's entertaining. So it's harmless. I give it 6 spookaboos just because of the indelible print it's left on my childhood.
That's totally fair. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna be the grouch of the mix. I'm gonna give it 3 because,
Spookaboos.
obviously it's not scary. But I mean, if you're a kid
It
and
has
playing it
been
back
established.
in '93, it's not scary. But owing to where it takes its cues from, the old Hamer movies, stuff like Clue, and just trying to be like, and I think it's purposely corny at some, maybe not as corny as like we thought it was, like that what their intention was, but it is that, and it has some creepy images in it. I thought like I said, the picture puzzle foreshadowing that the house is burned down and this has been going on a while. I thought stuff like that was kind of neat. But yeah, it's not scary, but it does have that, like, Saturday afternoon drive-in type feel to it. So yeah, I'd give it 3.
You'll definitely feel something playing this game. There's no way that you're gonna feel nothing.
Yeah, it's not zero.
You're gonna have emotions during this game, I would say. Like, you're definitely gonna feel intense feelings, and they might be frustration, they might be throwing down your controller and being like, I'm never gonna play this again. But you're gonna feel something.
Yeah.
You certainly will.
Yeah.
I said that more than once.
Yeah.
Our next rating is rating the gameplay, the actual the fun of the game, how it plays, and we do that on a scale of 1 to 10 bones.
Are the money.
Yeah, they're
so
the
are
money.
the worms.
And the food.
So, okay, so here's my question. I don't play a lot of video games. Like I said, this is probably one of the last ones I ever finished successfully. Are they usually this hard? Is that like normal for games?
For this genre at this
this
time,
genre, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
But nowadays, games got way, way, way less hard. I think the design philosophy has changed a lot, because back then, video games was still kind of a very niche habit. Niche habit. Not many people were. It wasn't mainstream, so they trying to get as much life out of these games as possible, especially when like rental became a thing. So then some games were like The Lion King. If you ever played The Lion King on Genesis or Super Nintendo, like that was specifically designed for level 2 to be so impossible that you couldn't beat it in a rental weekend to like force kids to buy it.
Wow. I
but
played the game.
It's really fun. It was really hard. It was weird. It's I can't wait to be king level. And you're just trying to get thrown across the trees, and it's really hard. Anyway,
Aladdin had a level Aladdin had a level just like that. That was also very hard.
I think if this game were to come out, games like this, adventure games that are made today, like Soma and stuff, have like really robust hint systems within the game itself, so you don't have to go track down some weird walkthrough. Like, they designed the games to be completed now, whereas I think back
more
then
accessible.
The philosophy was more of the arcade game philosophy, where it's trying to just drag quarters out of you, so it's trying to make you lose as much as possible.
That's really interesting.
So yeah.
That's really interesting, because I was also thinking that half of this game's difficulty is trying to figure out where to go next. Like, there were several parts of this game where I just got stuck. I was like, I finished all the games. Like, I did it. I've been in all the rooms. I'd look at maps.
Did you not?
And then
You
they
didn't click on the
off
map?
ways
I
to
did.
get through the house, so you have to like figure out ways around like the front staircase. Like, ugh.
No, I figured it out. Like, I mean, the bathroom was the hardest one. I couldn't figure out how to like find the game there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I had to look that up online too.
Yeah,
There's a button you could press spacebar, and it would highlight all of the clickable objects in the room.
what?
But I'll give it a bone rating.
Okay.
I give it 5 bones. I do like a lot of the puzzles. Some of them were like the piano one and the microscope one, and some of this just like, "Argh." But I mean, like I said, the puzzles are good, and they're meant to be really, really hard. And it's just kind of the where it like drops for me, because I love puzzles, but you need to tell me what I'm supposed to do. You can't just give me like a jumble of random objects and say solve this. I don't know what you want me to solve, bro. Like, I don't know what to do here. So like that, and like also kind of like the confusing, kind of frustrating manner that the house like starts like blocking you from going places. I was just like,
Remember when Cerberus randomly shows up
Yes.
in the last 3 minutes of the game?
like, what?
Cerberus.
In the dollhouse.
Yeah, there's a Cerberus that keeps you from going back out of the attic.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah. And I forgot to ask about this, but does anybody know what the lady from the Meatloaf video was doing? Like, what was her deal?
Oh, the
Jessica
ghost?
Rabbit? Jessica Rabbit? Oh, the
The ghost in white.
The Ghost in White, the lady from
Oh,
the Meatloaf
yeah.
video.
Or I think, as I thought it was a tie into the movie Lady in White with Lucas Haas, which was big in my house growing up.
Oh. I don't know.
Could have been.
I think she was supposed to be the mom of the boy, who I guess was an orphan. Is that right?
Maybe? I have no idea.
This is no.
I don't know what
the
Tad's deal
Wikipedia
is.
says that Tad went into the house on a dare, which is not clear at all.
No.
Oh, yeah, he says it.
Oh, well.
No,
He says that.
He says that. My
missed
boyfriend
it.
playing this game just kept trying to leave through the door in the kitchen. He's like, that's got to be an option. I was like, I don't think that's an option. I'd give the gameplay in this like 9 bones because it's so hard. Like it's so hard. So I guess that makes it good. It seems like the kind of game I know why my dad like brought it home. It's because he was interested, but also I think he's probably trying to test to see if I was a dummy. Because in his mind, he's a scientist and like he was on early internet. He's basically Fox Mulder, and like I'm sure this was his way of like IQ testing me to see if I was a real dummy.
Experiment. He's making like furious notes.
Yep,
Also, in fairness to the game, Tom and I were playing it kind of under a time constraint, so it's just like we couldn't let it sit and like some of the puzzles sit and marinate for a little bit, which I think we would have solved a lot of them if we had
maybe
opportunity.
the Rubik's Cubes ones I would never have solved. I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give it a 6 bones. 6 bones. I think it's clever. I think the puzzles and the way they're arranged are really clever, and the way they're implemented into because they do feel disjointed. Like we were texting Drew a little bit before recording, pointing out that there's no puzzles that involve dolls, and he's like a doll maker, and his house is filled with dolls. So it was like weird. Yeah. It's like a lot of the puzzles don't seem to really. They don't make any effort to actually connect them to the story or the universe or the house, like what you're going through. There's no theme. Yeah.
He's not a toy maker. Just make him a toy maker and have him like dolls be one of the toys that he makes. If you make him a toy maker, then all the chess games, all of these things make sense. It's like 3 narrative pieces of writing. You just add 3 lines of script, and this would make so much more sense.
But I do like how they're positioned throughout the house, and like the coffin flop thing is in the crypt in the base. It's like, oh, of course. And the telescope in the study are like, oh yeah, and they find little like mazes on bedspreads and stuff like that. So I thought that stuff was clever. I did get frustrated by the thing that you guys said, that the thing that frustrates everybody about these games is how deliberately obtuse they are, and sometimes it's unfair. Like it's really unfair that how much they expect you to piece together with little to no information or even direction.
Well, this was also pre-internet, right? So this was like that's also
a version
kind of
the internet. The internet existed in '93.
Yeah, you're right. And to the point, my dad had it. Like he had that early internet. He had that early internet. I remember it was all message boards. Like, and I'd be on there talking about X-Files with people. But like that's kind of, I think, probably the only way you would get to know anything about this game, right? You'd have to like go on a message board.
I bet there were like IRCs totally devoted to the Seventh Guest.
That's what I was about to say. It's like that would be maybe the collective form of gameplay. The only way I think you could figure out some of these puzzles without looking them up. Because did any of us not look up how to play some of these? Like, did anybody would just do a full walkthrough without having to look up?
No,
I'll call them a liar if they say they did.
Yeah, I looked up at least half of these puzzles.
I didn't look up any of them, but then again, I have not finished the game. I'm still playing that Rook one as we speak. Like currently, like I have it in my hand.
That one takes a real long time.
Most of them I just like looked up to see what I was supposed to do, or like the object of it. But some of them I was just like when I got to that night puzzle, I'm like, oh no.
Hit that one at 3:15, still on it.
Sweet.
It's 4:30 by the way,
okay.
guys. Yeah.
So we got our bones and our spookaboos and our spookadrews all piled up. So let's go. Let's wander into the haunted Blockbuster and exchange them for a VHS or not. The very last question, the very final puzzle of this episode of Screamplay is, do you buy this VHS? Please tell me whether or not I should just buy this VHS. If this was a beat up old VHS that you could plant in your video collection for viewing with your pals on Saturday night, would you pick it up?
I mean, okay, start. Very clearly the answer, as someone who had an Are You Afraid of the Dark themed birthday party, and then my parents just left the basement that way. We dressed it all up with spider webs and stuff, and then my parents just left it, and that was the rest of the house. So yes, like I would buy this. I think it's really, like you said, schlocky fun. It's as a kid, it like scared the crap out of me. So I think it was like a good deterrent for like going into basements for a long time. You have kids, I feel like they could still probably get a good spookum or two of it, but then you mostly have it around for kitsch value.
Yeah.
I feel that way. Yeah.
I think I'm going to also give the same answer. I think I buy this VHS purely for the kitsch value.
Mm-hmm.
I buy plenty of things for kitsch.
Mm-hmm.
So would not be the first VHS I've owned, somewhat ironically.
And then like later on in life, there's going to be like a band or a reference in a movie that's like very clearly referencing
Seventh
the
guest
Seventh Guest.
reference.
And then you're like, oh, I got that one. Oh.
Do they exist? Do those exist? Are there seventh guest references in other media? I must know.
That's a great question. Like how in Life is Strange, like the other game, there's like the Fire Walk with Me. It's called Fire Walk, and like it's very clearly a Twin Peaks reference. I love finding that kind of stuff. So maybe there has to be, right? The 11th Hour. There's probably.
Let's hope so.
Stop
All right,
infection.
John. Stop infection.
Yeah, I'll buy it just because like you can see the bones of other games in it. How like they kind of like say, oh, okay, the Seventh Guest. It's kind of like a famous one. It's a famous horror video game, the puzzle video game. Like Amnesia probably took a lot of cues from it. So yeah, I mean, I'd buy it. I like the kitsch is fun. Just watching I want to go back and just watch like the cutscenes because those were hilarious. Yeah, I'll buy it. Yeah, it's fun. I would just like don't play it like aggressively is what I don't know a better word for it. It's just like, yeah, just look at the puzzles. So like if you get stuck on one, just like, all right, just come back to it later. It's one of those games. Like I don't think it's supposed to be beaten in one sitting. Just play it like as one of those big tabletop puzzles. You just come back to it every once in a while.
Here's my question, I guess. Will you guys be buying the re-released version? Or I guess
of the VR?
Yeah, the VR version, that's what I mean.
I think I'm probably going to have to just to see what it is.
I will watch Tom play it just because I can't play VR games without puking.
Yeah, I'm really debating it. I mean, I won a VR headset at round one, and I plan on doing the what's it called? Until Dawn. The reason I got like a PlayStation to begin with, the Until Dawn horror game, which is so good.
The shooter?
No, Until Dawn, the one where you're like in a horror movie.
You just play Until Dawn in VR?
No, there's the one where you're like on a roller coaster, I think.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Like I don't know what that's called.
It's like a isn't it a shooter?
Yeah, it's a shooter.
I haven't played it yet. Yeah, I haven't played, but it's a rail shooter. It sounds fun.
Sweet, yeah, I'm gonna try that one out.
So I would buy the VR version. I guess that's like the equivalent of VHS. I didn't realize though. I'm reading now about it. Bill Gates called the Seventh Guest the new standard in interactive entertainment.
I had that quote in my notes, and I didn't bring it up. But yeah, he did.
Bill Gates.
Again, this was 1993. Like LucasArts, I don't think it released a lot of its shit yet. And also,
Rebel
it's not
Assault
a
was
bad
out at this
game.
point.
Like for 1993, it's
no!
a pretty solid game.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I think we've completed our obligation. I think that's a so.
Transaction is complete. Y'all can leave now.
Oh man, Drew, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me
really fun.
to the Spookaboo Banner.
Well, I'm so happy that I was thrilled that you wanted to be on the show. That was really cool. So yeah, thanks for being on.
I loved it.
Yeah. Come back anytime. Bring Soma.
Yeah.
Yay!
Or I have no mouth and I must scream. I'd love to talk about that game.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
What do you want to plug? What do you want to tell people?
Oh yeah, so I'm Video Drew across all social platforms. You can also find me over at Passion Fruit. That's spelled passion, FRU.IT. Yeah, I know it's like that kind of thing, but it's a new website for creators. We have a newsletter. We have a great YouTube series called The Reactorverse, which interviews YouTube reactors. And it's really good. It's for anybody who like makes stuff on the internet and is into creator labor issues. So check that out.
Sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah, it actually is.
Oh man. Well, if you're here and you're listening, we have a Patreon. Head over to Gamefully Unemployed. Well, that's not right. Head over to patreon.com/Gamefully Unemployed. Dave normally does this bit.
No, you do it.
Where we have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of tiers. You get just $5 a month. You can get access to all sorts of exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek: The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We also have tiers where we watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. We have custom podcast tiers where you can commission your own podcasts about just about anything you want, pretty much. So go check that out. We also have a great Discord community full of awesome people. And we have a store. Head over to GamefullyUnemployed.com. That's the Gamefully Unemployed address. Where you'll find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your pink peepers onto that.
Yeah, if you would like to look for me online, I am on Twitter at Johnny Rhymes and also Blue Sky at Johnny Rhymes.
Oh yeah, I need to do that, I guess.
Yeah, I sent you a code
Yeah, so did Brockway.
3 weeks ago.
I have 2 codes now and I haven't used them yet.
I'm trying to give these things away. No one wants them. I don't know why. It's get off Twitter, guys. Come on. Please. I'm sure a lot of people want them, but I just don't feel like putting that auction out there. I asked about if anyone could draw Bishop from the X-Men, and that was a mistake. It's been inundated with every YouTube artist ever on Twitter.
Oh my
Don't
god.
do that. It was bad.
No, I kind of want to do that.
I think you should.
All right, you go ahead, but I warned you.
Ask them for a draw. Ask for a drawing of staph infection.
Yeah.
Design a staph infection T-shirt that we would sell at a club show on the road.
Okay, that's it. That's for the Gamefully Unemployed store, and that's the quest, people.
Design merchandise for Tom and Dave to sell.
All right, I'm ending the show now.
All right, get out of here.
Bye.
Bye.
Our episode artwork is provided by Doc Garby. You can follow him on Twitter at _JDBurrows_. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at Instagram.com/MVBramleyArt.